It seems like the world is throwing distractions at us almost every single day. And even though I'm shooting this video in August of 2020, I can guarantee that the distractions are going to continue to get worse, not just months into the future, but years into the future and for the foreseeable future. This is the climate that we are living in with the internet and social media and the news and these media companies and everything going around the world. The environment has been created to become more and more distracting over time, and the goal is to continue to keep you distracted so that you don't focus on your goal. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about this idea of the art of detachment. This is an article I wrote, and it talks about a concept that I use to try my best to stay focused on my goals, and this is something I want to share with you as well. But before we get to the topic, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the little notification bell so you can get brand new videos when they come out. That notification bell is very important because it helps you get those brand new videos right away. Of course, focus is a technique that is very valuable to you. For me, my ability to focus has given me the sustained levels of motivation needed to reach long-term objectives. That's what self-improvement is about, right? But now, and even more into the future, you're gonna be moved further and further away from your goals by all the distractions in the world. So let me give you a couple of key tips that you can use to stay focused, and I'm gonna give you kind of the broad overview of what I mean before we dive into those. So really, the number one thing that you need to understand if you want to reach your own goals in life, you're going to have to learn how to detach yourself from everything that's going on, right? So I've written a series of articles. I'll date myself a little bit when I make this video, but obviously everything I'm doing is during the COVID epidemic. You have racial issues, tensions, police brutality, all these different things, right? And I've actually gotten some pushback, from some of my own readers who have been with me for a long time, but some of them are like, you know what, Io, I'm really not a fan of this, but I'm going to persist with this message anyways. And what I tell people is to stay focused on your goals, on your mission, on your life, on your tribe, on your community, on the things that you can make a tangible impact with, and remove yourself from the rest of the conversation, right? Now, people will take this, they'll take this the wrong way. They'll take this the way that anyone who is trying to cope and not really take responsibility for their life will take it. They'll say something along the lines, but Io, you don't understand. If I don't get involved, if I'm not informed, if I am not hashtagging and posting on social media 74 times a day, nothing will change. And so they take someone like me who chooses to focus on the upside of reality, who is aware, who is cognizant, often more aware and cognizant than the person talking to me about the things that are going on in the world. And I tell you to remain detached from those things so you can focus. Now, being detached doesn't mean you don't care. Being detached doesn't mean you are unaware. Being detached doesn't even mean that you are not allowed to participate in your civic engagement, participate in the cultural discourse, participate in politics, participate in some of these global macro scale problems. You definitely can. But what people too often do is they become attached to these things. They attach their identity to the outside world. They attach their well-being to the outside world. They attach their agency to the outside world, and then they wonder why they have anxiety. They wonder why they're depressed. They wonder why they're not reaching their goals. They wonder why they're eating like garbage, not getting any sleep, having deteriorations in their relationships, and looking up at the sky as if the world is burning 24/7. They wonder why that's happening, right? So for me, I've developed some means to help me stay detached long enough. I'm human. I also pay attention to these things too, but I stay detached long enough to reach my goal. So here are some of the things that I do. With getting your news from social media and from these news websites is that they're not giving you the truth. They're not giving you an accurate representation of reality. They're taking real events that are actually happening. They're not fake news and that they're lying, but they're taking the events and they're spinning them to add as much emotion as possible to the events going on in the world. And often they're going to be negative emotions, right? So there's this saying, if it bleeds, it leads. You should watch the movie Nightcrawler. Great movie, kind of satirical about the news. But if it bleeds, it leads. They're not really incentivized to share a balanced worldview, right? So depending on where you look on TV, whatever TV station it is, it's going to shift towards your biases and make you hate the enemy, right? It's going to point out every little piece of information and edit it as such in a way to arouse emotions from you. That's what people don't understand. When you see something in the media, when you see something on social media, even if they're showing you what appears to be the truth, they can chop it up in such a way where you don't get the full picture of what's going on. And they do this all the time, from the way they edit videos, from the way they edit quotes, to the way they write headlines, right? You see a bunch of people online, they're sharing headlines, and I can tell they actually haven't read the article because the headline is very salacious. And then when you go and read the article, it's actually a lot more balanced, right? So if you limit your consumption of social media, of news, at least to the point where you're able to get things done, then you're fine. So for me, I'll try to get my day going, do my 4, 6, 8 hours of work, what have you, and then maybe I'll spend more time on social media. But I'm someone who has a social media addiction problem, so I break that rule constantly. But I have the luxury of being able to break that rule because I work for myself. I have flexibility over my time. My money earns money for me when I'm sleeping, so I can afford to screw off some time. If I was in a position where I was working a 9 to 5 and I was trying to get a business off the ground, I wouldn't spend time doing that, and I didn't spend time doing that back then. The next tip I'll give you, the next thing you need to be cognizant of, is just like something you need to like drill into your brain, is like, what tangible impact is your engagement in the discourse going to have versus you putting that energy into your life, right? So I made this post on Facebook the other day, and I was talking about the fact that, you know, we've been in this pandemic for 5 months, right? So I told people, eventually there will be some sort of treatment. Eventually the election will be over. Eventually, after the economy is going to collapse and it'll recover again. Eventually there will be a time where maybe life will never return to complete normalcy again, but things won't be like terrible, right? So what will you have done in that time, whether that's the next 6 months, the next year, the next 18 months, who knows? There are going to be people who took that time, people like me, people like the people I'm trying to reach, hopefully people like you, who spent that time, yes, understanding that there are negative things going on in the world, but still taking advantage of the upside, still focusing on self-improvement, health, education, knowledge, putting together side businesses. This is one of the greatest times to start a side business, as everything is moving into the tech sector. You should be moving into the tech sector. So there are a lot of people who have done that. There are a lot of people who have used that extra downtime. No one's saying that you have to become a philosopher during this time, but a lot of people ended up with a lot of extra time on their hands, and this could have been and has been time for people to really level up and see, which direction they're going in life, because life really kind of forced them to pause and think. So some people took that time and said, hey, you know what? I need to reevaluate what I'm doing, and I need to be better adaptable the next time something crazy happens. But then what have some other people done? They have completely squandered this time. They have completely wasted this time just focusing on the wrong things. Yes, be civically engaged, but you see some people, they're constantly, day in and day out, fighting for their team because they're going to make a change on the world, and they're not changing anything. You sharing a bunch of posts on Facebook isn't changing anything. You debating endlessly about politics and things way above your pay grade and level of understanding based on the complex nature of the world isn't solving anything. You're not an epidemiologist. You're not a sociologist. You're not an economist. You're none of these things. You're a human being who has a certain, set of skills and talents that you could be focusing on. Instead, there are some people who they're bowing to this altar of the outrage culture, is what I call it. And if you look at some people, we have he who shall not be named in office, right? Some people have spent the past 3 years of their life letting another human being live rent-free inside of their mind. instead of leveling up, right? So I've leveled up during this period with you-know-who as the president because I can't control who the president is. I can't control what people think of me based on what I look like. I can't control the way people stereotype me, but I can control the level of effort I put into my craft. I can control my business. I can control trying to find the like-minded people and working with them, right? So there's two ways to look at it. You have to figure out where your attention is going to be the most beneficial to you. And I also say it that way because even the most well-intentioned person, you could be screaming at the sky, at the wall forever, but you personally are not going to change the entire world. Your odds are much better trying to change yourself, so just change yourself. And honestly, the last point that really needs to be said and needs to be understood, you have to understand, you just be honest with yourself. You have to be honest about whether or not you're coping. That's what a lot of people do. Basically, like the idea that you're going to fix complex problems in the world is a coping mechanism because it's easy to aim at complex macro problems because there is no real identifiable solution. So you can fall under the illusion of progress constantly by continuing to kind of attack this shape-shifting problem where you really don't know the diagnosis of. But some of the diagnoses of what's going on in your life are very obvious. You know what they are. You know what to fix. But it's hard. It's hard to fix those problems. It's hard to go to the gym every single day if you're out of shape. It's hard to do that side business when you already have a job. It's hard to go through the path of more resistance and facing rejection and obstacles to build the life you really want to live. It's hard to delay your gratification. You don't get those instant dopamine hits by working by yourself when no one's around the same way you do from social media clicks. It's tough, but you get what you want at the end of it. So we have everyone here that they're coping, and I get it. Like I hate when motivational gurus or self-help people make it seem as if changing your life is easy. That shit is hard. And you have to deal with all these rationalizations in your mind, self-doubt, feelings of insecurity, flaws, past experiences, traumas, and what's going on in the world, and maintaining your own life. There's a lot to deal with. But you have to understand when you're coping and when you need to face the truth about your own life. Now, I don't know your situation, but the distinction you make between the two, once you understand that you are coping, you can realize where to focus your attention and do the hard work that it takes to change. All right, if you're looking for a real slap in the face, real cold, hard doses of truth, check out my book, Real Help and Honest Guide to Self-Improvement. Many people have told me that this has been like a field guide for them in these times. So make sure to check that out. If you're on YouTube, that's going to be in the description below. If you're on Instagram, that will be in the link in the bio of my profile. Lastly, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell so you can get brand new videos the moment they come out. Make sure to give the video the thumbs up, smash that like button, leave your 2 cents. Let me know what video ideas you want me to see next. There should be some videos popping up in front of your face right now. Make sure to check those out, and I will see you on the next video.